Hey everybody, we're live. Thank you so much for joining this session, and welcome back for those of you who were just live with me like 15 minutes ago. But we're here with my friend Richard Groenewald to talk about the best strings for your game, and I'm really excited to have you on. Richard, you know so much about strings. We've talked a lot about it. Such a pleasure to meet in Orlando a couple years ago, and you know you had Signum Pro and Genesis strings. And definitely everybody should check out the Tennis Depot as well to get more info on that. But Richard, first off, I'm really excited to talk to you about it and answer your questions. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for that, my friend. I'm really happy to be here, to be, a part of your summit because I think it's really important for all the players and coaches that love the sport, for them to have more knowledge. All this knowledge is, of course, really important. It's like gold, because they can, of course, have better results in the tennis court, both by coaching and by playing tennis. So I think one of the subjects that is really imperative is this subject that we're going to be talking about, which is the different kind of strings, and because there are so many out there, right? And sometimes they just go and buy because of the color or because of the brand. So sometimes that does not help them playing tennis better. So I think this topic and this subject that we're going to be discussing today is going to help a lot of these coaches and a lot of these players to achieve better goals in the tennis court.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important. I mean, yeah, I can tell you from experience as well as Richard, of course, just the type of strings you use has an amazing impact on your game. So yeah, and we have some nice comments here. Hello to Azair from St. Louis, Missouri. Enjoying all the sessions throughout the week. Thanks, Mirban, for putting this together. And thanks to all the speakers, especially keeping in mind and catering the talks about adult club level players. Our pleasure. Thanks a lot. Tom, yes, we're on. So it's great to be here. We actually have some questions already in the chat, but I'll just kind of get it started by asking you, Richard. I mean, what, in your opinion, well, in your expertise, what are the most common types of strings that players use today?
Okay, for me to start this and to answer your question, first of all, I want you to know something. In the tennis industry, I mean, there are certain things that have changed so much. I don't know if you remember the type of tennis shoes that we were using 25 years ago. They would be super heavy because that was the only way in which tennis shoes would be ultra durable, right? But then at the same time, tennis rackets have not changed probably in the last 20 years that much. The truth is that there were, like a wide beam and then the regular beam, like the rackets that, like the prestige racket has changed so little in 20 years, and many of the big rackets out there haven't changed that much in 20 years. Sometimes they change in materials, sometimes they change in probably, the kind of grade they're using. Sometimes they have a little bit more technology. But the truth is that there's not that many change in tennis rackets. But that's not the case in tennis strings. Tennis strings are developing so much. Every year new strings are coming out, better quality strings, better power, better feeling, better everything. So it's really important for people to know and understand that using always the same string could not always be good for every player.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, strings like Firestorm, the string that Matteo Berrettini is using, he started playing with Firestorm since he was a junior, and now he's a top 6 in the ATP, and he's still using our string, which is something really interesting, for someone to come through from that such a long way, and get there. It's really important because you need to have the best quality materials when you're playing tennis. Now, the question you asked me, how to choose a string, is not as simple as that, but I can tell you, nowadays, almost all the new strings are better than the best strings from 20 or 25 years ago. Okay, so almost any string that you go and pick up nowadays is going to be better That the best tennis strings from 25 years ago. I'm not talking about Natural God. Natural God is still probably the best tennis string ever in the history of tennis strings. But besides Natural God, the new strings had better additives, which make them, nicer and more comfortable for the player. They give them better control, better power. And I'm going to give you an example of what do I mean by better control and better power. I remember in the 90s, you would see a lot of tournaments in which the players would serve and go up to the net and would force an error or a mistake in your opponent just by going up to the net, because they would have a difficult shot that they would need to get the ball inside the court in a really perfect or specific place. And then many of these players would just simply win the points by making the opponent make mistakes like that, right? Nowadays, you can see in the professional matches, there are not that many players that are serving and going up to the net, because with the new strings that we have in the market, it's easier to put the ball wherever you really want it to be. So it's easier to hit a passing shot. It's easier to hit a top spin overhead.
Hmm.
There are so many shots that it was so difficult to make before, and now you can do them, or you can achieve those shots with the newer quality strings that we have in the market. You know, Gustavo Kuerten was the first guy that came using a copolyester string, and from nowhere, nobody knew him. He became, the winner of Roland Garros. So in a few months, all the players now wanted to use copolyester. So nobody believed in copolyester before, and now I don't think there's any player in the world who's playing at a good level that is not using copolyester. Okay, so that means copolyester is a great breakthrough in the market, and it's important to know, strings like Signum Pro and Genesis in that we carry these ones in the market. Uh, from our point of view, and because we have play tested them, thoroughly, we have realized that in these two brands you have a full array of different tennis strings that can achieve anything that you could be looking for in a tennis string, for this tennis string to be successful for you, or to make you more successful in tennis court. What do I mean by this? There are round strings, like we have white magic, black magic in Genesis. In Signum Pro, we have Megaforce, we have Polyplasma, we have Firestorm, Outbreak. All these strings are round strings, okay? And the difference between these strings is not only the color, but it's the attributes that they have that can help you achieve better strokes and that can help you play better, okay? Now, what's the difference between these strings? If they are all round, they look pretty similar, and when you feel them, they feel the same. So why is it that there are so many round strings out there? And for a common player, let's say we're not talking about professional player, we're talking about a common player. Why would a common player would need Megaforce over Firestorm, or Firestorm over Megaforce, or Black Magic over Spider Super 8, or any other string that we have or that we carry? Well, first of all, we need to understand something. There are differences between the strings that can make the string better for the player. One of these differences is the comfort in the string, okay? So there are strings that are not as comfort as other strings, okay? There are strings that when you hit the ball, you feel the ball really nice. Let's compare it to Natural God. Natural God is a string that when you hit the ball, you feel the ball perfectly, so you can achieve better strokes by having better feeling. And of course, better power. Now, when you have a string that has, a bigger impact on your arm when you hit the ball, then that is good for some professional players, because that's what they're looking, to have more, like a crispier feeling in the ball. So some players love that. But for a regular player in a club, I do not recommend the string that is harsh on the arm. I do not recommend the string that
Mhm.
has that crispier feeling. I need for a regular player in a club to feel better when they're playing tennis, to feel the ball nicer and softer. So that point in the ratings of the different attributes or features that a string has is called comfort. Okay, so we need a string that has the better level of comfort for this type of players. Now, what do many of these players do? They go and they string with synthetic gut or with a microfilament. The microfilament is the one that has the highest level of comfort, okay? This does not mean that it has the best level of power, control, or spin. Okay, so you cannot generate much spin with this type of string. You cannot
Mhm.
generate a lot of power with it, but it will be really comfortable for your arm. So if you are just looking to have a nice time out there, you do not even care to win. You just want to have fun. Use synthetic gut or microfilaments. Those type of strings are going to feel really nice and they're going to make you happier. Okay, so that's what I recommend for a club player that is, let's say, a 3.5. Okay, even a 4.0 is okay for them to be using these strings, but then they have a little problem. These strings do not hold its tension really good. Okay, so for a 4.0
Mm.
or 4.5 that they're popping strings more often, these strings won't last as much. Okay, so in this case, a 4.0 or a 4.5, which are as well that you can call them a club player, but sometimes they're, in another level because sometimes a 4-5 is playing more tournaments, it's trying to achieve better goals, it's trying to become better. They need a string that will give them as well the other attributes that I'm telling that you can achieve with copolyester strings, which is power, control, and speed. Okay, so if you're looking for these three attributes to use a microfilament, let's call it, we have explosion in Genesis and micronite in the Signum Pro. These strings are really comfortable, but not great for a 4-5 player or 5-0. Okay, if you're a 5-0, it's really not good for you to be using microfilaments. But let me tell you why, and let me explain this further. One of the great things that this string has, the copolyester strings have, and you can see it back here, they have a comparison chart between using nylon and polyester compared to using copolyester strings of high quality. Okay, you can see here it says high-tech copolyester tennis strings. Okay, so these strings have a tension stability that is almost perfect. They will lose tension, but not that much. And that is really important for a competitive player. Okay. So if you're playing more tournaments, if you are trying to achieve, better strokes in the tennis court, I do not recommend a synthetic gut or a microfilament because these strings will lose its tension like crazy. And I mean, let's say you don't pop strings often and you put a microfilament in your string, in your racket, you're going to see that if it takes you 2 months for you to pop the strings, and let's say you're playing in Florida, it's really sunny, hot, you put your rackets in your car, so they get the heat also spoil the strings as well. So they're going to lose their tension. So you put 56 pounds in your racket, after 2 months, probably you have 35 pounds. Okay. So, as crazy as that is how much the tension can, change in your racket. So, you have two completely different tensions since you strung it until you pop the string. Now, if you're not a competitive player and you don't even care about it, it's okay. You the strings at 35 pounds won't have much control. It's going to be difficult sometimes because the bolt stays so longer in the bed of the strings that sometimes it's like a catapult. So it's difficult to control the ball when you have such a low tension. But if you are a 3-5 player or 3-0 player and you're only trying to play for fun, you probably don't really need to care so much about the quality of the string or the tension stability of that. Now, for all the players that are actually the opposite, they're trying to compete, they're trying to play better, they're trying to achieve better goals in the tennis court. To use a copolyester is the best way to go. And I mean this as well for people that is looking softer strings. And this is why the brands that we carry have been changing amazing developments in strings. And strings like Outbreak in Signum Pro, this is a string that is ultra soft. So you're going to be feeling this string like if you're using a microfilament, but it is a full copolyester string. Okay. Now it is a copolyester string that has some additives in the string that will make you feel a really soft shot. Like your arm is going to feel really nice and really comfortable when you're hitting the ball with this string. And in the case of Genesis, we have the Black Magic and the White Magic. These strings do not have the same comfort level as the Outbreak, because the Outbreak is probably the biggest comfort level in copolyester string. But these ones are way beyond all the other copolyester strings in the market. Okay, like we compared these charts by Stringpedia. Stringpedia is the biggest tennis string lab in the world, and they test all the strings thoroughly and give you the different attributes of a string or the different features of a string in numbers. And when they play tested this string, they put the comfort way beyond many of the big selling strings out there in the market, which makes this string much more comfortable than other strings in the market as well. We've had many players that got injured. Let's say they were using another brand string and this string was stiffer to their arm, so they got injured. Somebody recommended them to use Black Magic, so they started playing with the Black Magic and they were able to keep on playing, and they stopped having tennis elbow or other, issues that they could have with their arm or their wrist, because some strings are so stiff that they can hurt your wrist as well. And for us in Genesis and for us in Signum Pro, the most important thing is to have players enjoying tennis more, having a better time in the tennis court, but at the same time, if they want to achieve a better goal, to play better, to play faster, to be able to hit harder shots, and stronger shots, they need a string that will help them achieving that. Okay, so in the case of Signum Pro, we have in the higher level, in the higher gamma of strings, we have Experience, Polaris, which is this one, and the Firestone, which is the one that Matteo Berrettini uses. And then in Genesis, we have the new Hexa Infinite. Hexa Infinite was a development that we made over 2 years. We would go to the future tournaments and we would speak to many different players, asking them, if they could have a perfect string, what would they ask from it, And they were giving me all these crazy details that they wanted amazing durability, because that's a big issue for players that are going to these tournaments and they have to be paying $15 to $20 for a string job, and they pop 2-3 strings a day. So that's difficult for them, So they wanted the better durability string, but with perfect tension stability. And that's difficult, because when you have a lot of durability, the string starts losing its tension, and then at the end you have 7 pounds less than when you started. So we work hard to create that in Hexa Infinite. And then another attributes that players, professional players were asking for was the string had to be, perfect in power, but great in control as well. And those are opposites, So it's difficult to achieve great things in opposite directions, But that's interesting because Firestorm, actually, that's what it says in the cover. It says power plus control. So that means they have two opposites, and then you have these opposites in the same string. So this is amazing. These are amazing achievements that, as I told you, the development in strings had been amazing in the last years, because they are using a lot of different additives to make these strings better. So play testing these additives take really long, because when we were play testing the new Hex Infinite, when we were just making the prototypes, we would get great strings that had amazing amazing durability, amazing stability in tension, but that you didn't have any feeling. You would hit the ball and it could get in or it could go up to the moon, because you didn't feel anything, So feeling is really important. So we kept on developing and play testing many prototypes and working with these amazing chemical engineers that were, that had been developing strings for over 20 years. And they would say, okay, we're going to play test this new additive, trying to see if it can give us better feeling, And then when we would get the feeling and we would get the durability and tension stability, then no power, like you would hit the ball as hard as possible, and then you would see the ball, like stopping after it bounced instead of going faster. So that's another issue, you need power, these professional players, they don't want to be playing with a string that their ball wouldn't, take a lot of speed after bouncing. So again, we needed to start, play testing new additives, and then again and again. So it took us 2 years and over probably 25 different prototypes, and that cost a lot of money, just to be making prototypes. But at the end, we were able to achieve this amazing string, and many players that are playing in college and that are playing futures are playtesting this one, loving it, and changing to it. We had this player from Argentina. He became a friend of mine because we got to the final of a tournament, a doubles tournament together. And I told him, hey, play test our new string. I mean, he was using another big brand out there. And he said, dude, I have been playing with this string for 8 years. They had been, supporting me for 8 years. There's no way I will change my string, But he was popping his strings twice a day. So can you imagine? He was stringing his own rackets, but still, needing to string 2 rackets every day, it's not easy. After you finish playing tennis, it's difficult to go back home, and instead of resting, you need to string rackets to be ready for the next match. So he play tested the string just because I asked him to do it. Eventually, he calls me 3 days after, and he said, hey, dude, I haven't popped your string, like it's been 2 days and the string still feels perfect, because I had play tested other strings that lasted long, but they feel really bad after 2 days, your string still feels perfect. He said, I can't believe it. I think it's just one string, or I probably changed something in my stroke because this is not possible. 4 days, 5 days, he calls me on Friday and he says, I just popped your string. I'm changing to your string now. So he had to call the other brand and tell them that they couldn't count on him anymore, and he's now playing with this one. So he's playing challengers and futures and all that, and he's recommending the string as well to many other players that have now come to us because of the same reason. They were looking for a perfect string with perfect tension stability, durability, power, feeling, control, and then they were able to find this in this string. For me, that's the biggest achievement that we've got. And the most important thing is that this string is not that expensive. We're selling the reel for $149, and we pay so much money for investing into creating. But for us, it's really important that people can have a better quality string at a competitive price as well. And that's the same case with Experience. That if you can see here, it says a test winner 2018 from Tennis Magazine in Germany. They play test all the different strings in the market, and this one won the prize as the best string of the year, which is really impressive. And as well, this string that has a lot of spin, a lot of power, with great feeling to your arm as well. It's a string that costs $159. So we're trying to be in this market doing the opposite that all the other strings or all the other brands do. All the other brands spend a lot of money into marketing, and I can assure you, through marketing, you can sell anything you want, and you can have a bad product and still sell it like crazy. But we're trying to do the opposite. We want players to play test it, love it, use it, and then recommend it. And that's the way we have been growing so much in the last years, just by working for the players. We prefer the players to have better quality strings. Even if we're not investing so much in marketing, we are investing in tennis strings. And in all this array of different strings that we have, because it's not only to have one string, but we also have the same string in different gauges. And that's the next topic I want to talk about, because that's really important for people knowing what string to pick up, because even when you find a perfect string that feels the way you like, sometimes you are using a thicker gauge than what you should be using, okay? But then what I mean, what I want to just to finish this, we have a huge array of different tennis strings, and each string will give you a different feeling or a different way for you to achieve something better in the tennis court. Some players are crazy about the speed, and they hit the ball so hard, but then in the tight moments, they get the ball out and then they lose the match, and they had match point, but they still lost the match for a ball that went out just by little, So we made a string that is specifically for control, So we have in Signum Pro a string that is a control-oriented string, and then we have in Genesis a control-oriented string. And this difference of 5 millimeters, if a ball going out or in, can actually change the result of a match. So for us, it was important to know that players that are crazy about speed, they could also have a control-oriented string that won't take that much speed out of them, but they will give them more bolts in, and that will help them achieve a better result in a match, right? So sorry, let me drink a little bit of water.
Oh, of course.
Okay, now let's say you play test 4 different strings. Let's say you decide that it's time for you to change strings, to try something newer, something better. You have been playing with the same string for too long, and you think you can probably find something better out there, So you buy a sample pack at the Tennis Depot, and then you get 4 different strings, and you play test these 4 different string in 17 gauge. That's the middle gauge. The gauge is the thickness of a string. Okay, so all the strings out there have different gauges or different thickness. Now, why, if they already like the 1.25, are they going to even think of using any other gauge? Because gauges give you different attributes as well. Okay, and this is interesting because Stringpedia have play tested the 17 gauge and the 16 gauge, and they have different attributes, like the ratings that they have all around are different between one and the other. And why is this? Let me tell you. A thinner gauge has less material than a thicker gauge, okay? So what does a thinner gauge or less material means in the terms of feeling and in the terms of the way you play tennis? Okay, I'm gonna explain you this. Less material, less vibration, okay? So if you're looking for a softer string, do not go and play with a thicker gauge, okay? So let's say going back to the club player, many club players do or make a huge mistake. They go and string the racket and they just request for the cheapest string possible. So they're not looking for any quality at all. They're just looking for the most economical string. Now, this happens too often. You wouldn't imagine how often this happens. The problem here is that probably they don't have the cheapest frame, They did not go and buy a straight racket at Walmart for $25, So they went and spent $250 for a racket, But then after that, they want the cheapest string. Why would you do that? I mean, you go and you buy a Ferrari, and then instead of putting the best wheels for your car,
Yeah.
you go and you ask for the trailer wheels, like, I don't know, any crazy thing you want. So what do you think is going to happen with your car when you're driving at a high speed with the cheapest wheels? It's not going to give you the same power. Your wheels are not going to be taking the road the same way that the professional wheels would do. So I think that if you're spending a lot of money into a frame, I'm not saying go and buy natural gut, okay? Don't go and purchase a $60 string job, okay? But do something smart and play test 2 or 3 different great quality strings, So when you play test these 3 different quality strings in your new frame, you're going to realize that some strings feel better and make you personally feel better about your game, Like, hey, with this string, I played so much better than with the previous string, Why is that? Some strings have more feeling, Feeling is really important. It means that when the ball is in the bed of the strings, you feel the ball better. That means like if you're touching the ball, it makes you have the possibility to change the angle of your ball more because you're feeling the ball better. And that is important for many players, like you see in the big tournament, these guys that are ready to hit the ball and then they hit a drop shot and the drop shot goes out perfectly. They are using as well a string. Of course, they practice it a lot, but they are still as well using a string that give them a lot of feeling. And this feeling is important for all those shots that you need to put the ball in a specific point. Okay, so when you're talking about different thickness, now you find the perfect string for you, the string that you feel the better playing with. Okay, now I recommend you that depending on your level of playing, use the gauge that correspond to the level of your game, okay? Let's say you're using a 17 gauge, but you pop strings every 2 hours, and you want a string that lasts at least 3 or 4, So for you, that you're popping so many strings, it's better to use a thicker gauge, okay? Now, many players say, no, I don't use a thicker gauge because the string loses its tension. Yes, of course, that happens. Many strings out there lose their tension like crazy. That's why we, these brands, care so much about the tension stability. For the professional player or for the player not to be having to play with 2 different tensions that are so different that when you pop the string in the first racket, go and grab the second racket and you feel that your game completely different. You feel this one felt too loose and the new one feels too tight. So it is important to count in this tension stability so much. And I know that many brands are not putting attention into this because they're putting a lot of attention into marketing. My point of view is it's important. I know marketing is important. We could be spending a lot of money into having big name players out there using our strings, but from my point of view, it's more important to invest my money into better quality string for all these players to achieve better goals in the tennis court. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think first off, thank you for the basic information and just illuminating a lot of the key points about strings and everything. Yeah, I just think strings are just such a big part of our game, obviously, and like for example, like I was using like a V core sampling it, and I used the strings that came with it. And then it was at like a tension. I don't know what tension it was. The strings were used for a while. They weren't the strings I wanted. And even though it's a nice racket, it was playing like very bad for me, and I needed to get the proper strings, the proper tension and everything in order to get it to a better place. So yeah, we have a lot of questions actually. Richard, do you mind if we answer some of them?
Yes, of course, of course. I don't see the question, so but surely you see them, right?
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah,
am I
yeah, for
doing
sure.
something wrong?
No, no, not at all. Yeah, if I
Okay,
don't know
okay.
if if you have the YouTube link on there, but oh, you might be on the private chat. That's why, because there's
Hmm.
like if you go in the comments, you'll see it. But it's all good. I see them.
Okay.
So as they're asked, how do you navigate the world of hybrid strings, and can club players at the 4.0 to 4.5 USTA leagues get benefits from hybrid string beds? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. Let me explain you. Different strings or different shapes have different attributes. Okay. So let's say it like this. This string is hexagonal, and this string is decagonal. Actually, it has 10 sides and it's twisted. They both have good power, like the level of power could be probably a 9, okay? But if you combine it with Firestorm, which is a 10 level of power, then you will also have the amazing spin that these two strings generate, but with added power. Okay, you can use these ones full bed, but you have two different issues with hexagonal strings. One of them is when the hexagonal string is here and here, and they're moving like this, well, while you're hitting the ball, they're moving like this. The corners or the edges of this one will cut the edges of this one. So, like making these, you generate much more friction, and your strings will last less. Okay, that's one of the reasons why you go and you put a round strings in the main, and then a hexagonal string or a twisted strings in the mains. You put the ones with the extrusion, and then the round string in the crosses. Okay, so that's one of the reasons. But as well, many players do this. They want to save some money. So they go and they use a copolyester string, either with extrusion or not, in the mains, and then they cross it with synthetic gut, which makes your string job cheaper, or more economical. Now, I want you to know something. We have a string called Zero Gravity. This is our synthetic gut. We sell a lot of synthetic gut. Much of our market is synthetic guts. We sell more of this one than all the other SKUs that we have, because people is looking to save some money in these hybrids. Now, I would not recommend, if you are looking this for economy reasons, okay, that's perfect. But if it's not for economy, if you're not looking to make it cheaper, your string job, then do not cross it with synthetic guts. Okay, because most of the players say, okay, I'm putting the synthetic gut because this one is too stiff on my arm, so I'm putting this one which is softer, the synthetic gut, and then like that I don't get injured. Okay, that's okay. If you're doing it for that reason, let me tell you, we have great news. Strings like Outbreak, like I told you, this feels better than the synthetic gut, and will give you better power, because the synthetic gut will actually take some power off your strokes as well. If you put, let's say, Explosion, Micronite, NXT, I mean, any microfilament that you put in your racket as for crosses, they lose their tension like crazy. So if you want better power, and of course, it's not only the losing tension, but also you lose power there. Okay, so if you're looking for great feeling but still great power, then you have strings like this one. You can use this one full bed, the Polaris string, which is really an amazing string. It is power and feel, and you're gonna feel amazing full bed with this one. You don't need to be crossing it with a softer string. Okay, in Black Magic and White Magic, Black Magic was our most comfortable string, but then we made White Magic, and we first made White Magic exactly as Black Magic, which had a higher level of comfort, but we just upgraded it. We made a newer formula which has 5 points more of comfort, but still great power, durability, and tension stability. Okay, so with these strings, you do not need to hybrid for those reasons. Okay, I would hybrid to put an hexagonal string or triangular string, twisted string in the mains just to have more spin, and then a round string in the crosses. Okay, so that's a perfect way to do it. We actually launched a string before called Tsunami Hybrid, which was true grid, which true grid has 10 sides and it's twisted, color blue, really nice color, and then combined it with Black Magic. So you would have the both True Grid and Black Magic have a high level of comfort with great power, but this string would give you more spin and slice, the True Grid, right? Now, with this hybrid, we had, I mean, a lot of people buying from us. Now, we changed that one and we're changing the name to Blue Moon. And it's really interesting. The country that loved this string the most was Japan, but they had a problem with a tsunami some years ago. So the distributor in Japan, please asked me to change the name to Blue Moon, because they wanted some more friendly to them, So, but still, this hybrid, we're selling it as a hybrid. And then we have another hybrid called Roscoe Tanner. Okay, so Roscoe Tanner is a great friend of us. He play tested our string and he said, "No, I'm always using microfilament or natural gum." So we sent them a few samples of the new Hexonic Power, which is an incredible string all around. And we sent it with Explosion as a hybrid, and he loved it. So we made a contract with him, and now we have a hybrid called Roscoe Tanner. And I want you to know that right now we're talking with Michael Performance, and we're going to have another hybrid with him, which is as well the True Grid, but now instead of combined with the Black Magic, is with the White Magic, because he helped us play testing the new White Magic and he loved it. So we're gonna keep on bringing these hybrids in. We also, because in Japan they love the hybrids, we are bringing 4 different hybrids, but only for Japan market, okay? Because these are names that I don't even understand. Nobushi, Mononofu, I mean, these are names that are, like something related to warriors in Japan or something. But we're launching this really nice line of different products for Japan, which are hybrids because they love the hybrids. And of course, we will eventually keep on bringing more hybrids into the market in the US as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for that. Great answer. We have a bunch more questions. I hope we can get to them all. Let's see, Jerry, what string should be used for a senior player 60 that has had tennis elbow? What tension?
Okay, perfect. First of all, many seniors, well, it's crazy, because I can talk about me as well. When I was 20, I was stringing my rackets at 65, and I remember I would use Kevlar combined with nylon. The Kevlar is so stiff that with the nylon it wouldn't be that stiff, right? So that was the only thing that would be durable on us, because everything else would be popping like crazy. So in those days I was using 65. Many guys that are 60, 55, even guys that are 45, 46 like me, they were used to use these higher tensions and they're still using crazy higher tensions. These higher tensions are not good for tennis elbow, okay? Now, besides the tensions not being good for tennis elbows, because I do recommend a much lower tension. Right now, I use 49 pounds and I feel it really great. I've never had any issue with my elbow since I went down to a lower tension, but as well with better quality strings. Now, strings like Black Magic, White Magic are really comfortable. These strings have helped many players that had tennis elbow to stop having tennis elbow. Many brands out there, they do not even realize how many of the players that are using them or using these brands are getting tennis elbow, because these strings are really stiff, on the arm. And for some professional players, that's nice. But then when you have a player that is not at that level, using those stiff strings are really bad for them, Now, Outbreak here, Firestorm, Polaris, experience, all the strings are really soft on the arm, and you can have a really thin gauge as well. So you combine having a string that is ultra comfortable with great power, great control, that won't lose its tension like crazy, but as well, you go and use let's say 50 pounds instead of 58, 60 pounds that many people were using in those times, and then you use a thinner gauge as well. So the thinner gauge has less vibration because it has less material as well, and the frequency in which it vibrates, it's a higher frequency as well, which will help the player not to have more problems in their arms. As well, I want you to know something. The last time I got injured from my wrist was because of the racket I was using. Now, I won't talk about other brands, so I won't tell, or I won't say which brand I was using, but they gave me a contract because I was helping sell a lot of rackets in my tennis shops. So they gave me 3 rackets, a racket bag, and everything. But I was using this racket, and I got injured in my wrist, and I couldn't play. Like I was so sad because I thought tennis was over for me. And then another brand. I can tell about the brand because this is the racket brand that I was using. Head gave me some rackets, as well, for the next year sponsorship. Head said, hey, I'll give you sponsorship and you push my brand. Okay. So they gave me the rackets, and I said, I can't play tennis, but I got the rackets for free. So let's trick them and try to see if I can hit a few balls, and it was amazing. I started playing and I felt no pain in my wrist. So I realized that, of course, strings are important, but also the choice of racket that you have or that you are using is really important. We created a new racket in Genesis, which is called Genesis Infinite. And when we were talking with the factory, they said, okay, which material do you want? These materials break faster, but these are the ones that many companies are using because many companies like the idea of the racket to stop feeling better soon. So you go, you try the new racket, you love it, and then you change racket. And that's a great marketing tool. If the string is popping too fast, you keep on restringing, so the brand makes more money like this. Well, the same thing happens with rackets. If the racket stop feeling great soon, then you go and you buy a new racket, right? Now, the thing here is that when I changed from one brand to the other, I stopped having the issues that I had. So, of course, to change the string is important, but you should take a look at the racket that you're using, play test another racket. I've seen the brand Volco, which I'm using right now. They have a lot of technology in the grip. Inside the grip, they have like something that have like silicone that helps absorbing all the vibration. I recommend that as well. I mean, anything that can help for players to feel better in the tennis court and to achieve something better, for me is important, even if it's not my brand. I do. So Bulk, of course, it's not my brand, but I could tell you I feel more comfortable. I find more power and better feeling with a racket like that. So use a great string and use a great racket as well.
Love that. Thank you, Richard. And yeah, for sure. I remember a while back, I was using like a thicker gauge of a string and it was hurting my arm. And then I switched to a thinner gauge and it helped a lot. The pain actually went away. So a lot of adjustments, great adjustments you mentioned. Really appreciate that. A bunch more questions. Joseph, I like your icon there. When just beginning in tennis, what exact type of string should I use? And what number is good to have the racket strung at? 52?
52 is a good number. I think
I use
52,
52.
52, 53 is a perfect number. And when you're starting to play tennis, don't worry about your strings popping too often or anything. I would recommend a thinner gauge. You know, I would start. Let's say, with experience 1.18, which is a thinner gauge, and even if it pops, I mean, it's not going to be popping like professionals do, like twice a day, right? So all these strings that are thinner will give you more sensation. And when you're learning to hit spin, let's say you're starting to play tennis and you want to hit some spin or some good slice, a thinner gauge will make the ball to be, deeper in contact with the string, because it's thinner. The thinner the string is, the deeper the ball gets into the string. So you can generate better spin and better slice as well. I do not recommend, let's say, uh, probably you won't feel a huge difference, and using the best quality string in the world won't help you so much. I've seen players that do not play tennis. They start playing tennis and they go and string with natural gut. Great. I mean, if they have the money, they can put natural gut. But is the natural gut actually going to help you, play better sooner? That's my point of view. Use a thinner gauge string of great quality, a string that won't vibrate that much. Like these strings that will help you not get tennis elbow, because many guys that are starting start making some bad moves. Like instead of stretching their arm and taking their arm off like this, they start doing like this, or the racket that they're using is too heavy, so they put their arm like this and they hit the ball like this. So that kind of issues also create tennis elbow. Okay, so I recommend a thinner gauge, a racket that won't feel too heavy for you, so you can stretch your arm, and the tension 52, 53 is perfect for you. Never go to 65, please.
Yeah. Way too much there. Way too much for that tension. Thanks, Richard. Jason Bourne, how much does poly strings really give players more spin? And if yes, by how much? A study on Tennis Warehouse University seems to suggest the benefit is less than 10%. So I know a lot of it is about technique as well, but what do you think about this question, Richard?
Well, I do agree with Tennis Warehouse. I mean, say hello to my friends from Tennis Warehouse. I have a good relationship with them. Jonathan Wolf. But the thing is that it's important for you to understand something. That 5% that of more spin that you can generate in the tennis court for a professional player is everything. For a player that is looking for more spin, that 5% is a huge deal. It's a big deal. Right now, today and yesterday, I was play testing the new White Magic. I mean, not play testing it because I play tested it before we launch it. But I'm making some videos for people to see the results. I can see my ball still grabbing a lot of spin with it. It's a round string, and still I can generate a lot of great spin. But that 5% spin lost probably can make some balls go out. And that's the interesting thing about hexagonal strings. The guy from Signum Pro called Bernd Grudner, he's the owner of Signum Pro. He started making Kopali strings in the 90s when it wasn't even, popular. And then he made the first hexagonal string. And of course, everyone else went after that and started doing hexagonal strings. And I mean, in Genesis, we have a triangular string. Okay, now I want you to know something. We have realized that a 10-sided string generates much less string than a 3-sided string, okay? Because the more corners it has, the less it grabs the ball. So a lot of people comes to my store and says, oh, I want an octagonal string to have a lot of spin. Well, octagonal string is not going to give you more spin than a 4-sided string, a 5-sided string, or a 3-sided string. I can tell you how much more spin the ball is grabbing, because when I'm using Trionic in my rackets, my bolts last less time. My bolts end up without the felt faster, because the string is actually putting a lot of spin into the ball, like cutting the ball, like it actually grabs the ball so much more in a triangular string than in a hexagonal string. Okay, now if you go and you say, hey, I want a string with 20 corners, there are strings with 20 sides, but they won't give you as much spin as a hexagonal string or a triangular string or a four-sided string, okay? So four-sided string, of course, has more spin than a hexagonal string. If you want to go in the middle, in a hexagonal string, you will have that 5 to 10% more spin than with a circular string. But that spin is important for only one reason as well. Those sides grab the ball a little bit more, so they make the ball to bite a little bit more in the strings. Let's say you're not looking for the hexagonal string for the spin, but just for that biting of the ball, okay? So if you're looking for the ball to bite a little bit more, a string with an extrusion will always help you. Now, why would they make a string that is twisted as well? Okay, let's say this is true. You're only having 10% more spin or 5% more spin with a hexagonal string. Why would they twist it as well? Well, they discovered that with a hexagonal string or with a sided string, you have more spin. But then when you went down to the slice, the ball would go a little bit higher than what you would be expecting it to go. And in the slice, you also want to hit really nice drop shots. So the twisted strings will give you great slice and great spin at the same time. And that's something that I have seen in the tennis court, that other players as well have realized in the tennis court while using them. And the first twisted string, of course, was made by Signum Pro as well. So Signum Pro has been there for, forever. And it's not a huge brand like other brands in the market, but the quality that they're putting into development of strings and, how the strings feel, how the strings actually act in the tennis court, for them is the most important thing. And the first Kopali string I've ever tried was exactly from Signum Pro, and I felt in love with it. From being someone that I didn't even want to try Kopali because they were so much more expensive than the regular polyester strings, to be not only a lover of these strings, but eventually becoming the distributor and even the owner of one of these brands, from my point of view, is really, really interesting.
Oh, sorry. I think I was on.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
on mute. Sorry about that. Yeah. So we have from Jason a question. How do we tell
But
it's time?
it's Jason Bourne.
Yeah. I wish it was the. I don't know that it's a real.
Matt Damon, are you there?
Matt Damon, man. Welcome, Matt Damon, aka Jason Bourne. How do we tell it's time to cut and replace the strings? Very good question.
Okay, it's really important to understand this. If your string lost its tension, it's time to cut it off. There are strings like Signum Pro and Genesis that are perfect in tension stability, but some people put them in their cart, in the trunk, and they're at 110 degrees. So these strings, actually, the process to make a string is actually heat them until certain temperature, and then it becomes really easy to create the extrusion. Okay, and after that they get them into a machine, and then the machine extrudes the string, even makes it round or hexagonal or anything. So that was made through heat. Okay, so if you're not using our strings, probably they lost its tension. Okay, that's pretty normal. I've seen it in Stringpedia. Some strings that are really popular out there lose its tension like crazy, But even if you're using our strings that have better tension stability, and you put your strings in the trunk, and then you're at 110 degrees out there, your strings are going to lose its tension. So of course, you can keep on playing with them, but usually the time for you to pop your strings is when the tension is lost. I recommend in that moment that you cut your strings, or some strings lose their, two different attributes: stability and resilience peak. Okay, these are terms using for putting in strings, the importance of the different attributes or features that a string has. Resilience peak You're hitting the ball for an hour. You're feeling your strings perfect. Oh, they feel great. They feel great. But then after, let's say, 2 hours, okay, you're a professional player. After 2 hours, you stop feeling the ball. You didn't have that feeling anymore in your string. That's a great moment for you to cut your string, okay? And if you're not a professional player, but you are not feeling the ball anymore, that means the resilient peak is lost. So it's a good moment for you to pop your strings as well. And then the stability, the string feels good for certain strokes, and then it does not feel good for other strokes. And it's not about the technique. Let's say you have a good technique, but you're not feeling your back end anymore. So probably the stability of the string has been lost there, and then it's a good moment for you to cut your strings as well. Now, if you're always cutting your string, my friend, use a thinner gauge. If
Yeah.
if you're gonna cut your strings before they pop, that means you are using a thicker gauge than what you're supposed to use. Okay, so if your string lasts a long time, use always a thinner gauge. You can go as well as 1.09. There are some strings in that gauge. In Polaris, the new string from Signum Pro, we have 1.15, which is like 19 gauge. So if you are not popping strings, use the thinner gauge possible. You will have the best feeling possible. I mean, no natural gut out there is made at 1.15. So no natural gut will give you the same feeling as a really thin gauge string that will, of course, as well produce power, control, feeling, and so on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Great stuff, Richard. We have a ton of questions still. Uh, Hi, Daria from Uruguay. Very nice. Great sessions. Glad you like them. Can you comment on triangular strings? Are they really as effective as they say they are at producing more spin? You talked a little
Yes,
bit about it. Any other
yes,
thoughts?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I just
Yeah.
talked about. But it is important for you to know that the only triangular string that we have, it's called trionic, and it's actually the favorite for many players, because that's one of the strings that we sell the most. I mean, we sell almost all the strings that we have. I mean, there's no string that stays there for a year, in our warehouse. But triangular strings are really great for producing spin, and you will, of course, produce much more spin in a triangular string than a hexagonal string, and the results will speak for themselves. If you use a trionic string and then you use it, you will see while trying to hit spin how much more spin the ball will generate. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks for that. Let's see. So Anna, you should definitely watch the replay of the live stream that we just did at 12 p.m. Eastern with Emma Green about the tennis elbow. And Richard did
Oh
talk some
yes,
about
and
it, but
another thing about
yeah,
tennis elbow.
yeah,
Of course, even if you are using the worst tennis string in the world, and there are many super stiff strings out there that can produce tennis elbow. Even in the prototypes that we play tested, sometimes because we play test like probably 200 strings a year. Not only us, but there's a lot of great players out there and coaches that help us play testing our strings before we even keep on developing them. Some of these strings are so stiff, because we're looking for durability, and sometimes when you're looking for durability, you're looking for troubles. Okay, so some of these strings are so stiff that you start hitting with them, and immediately you start feeling your arm tired. So after that tiredness, it comes tennis elbow and problems with the arm, shoulder, everything, right? So even if the strings can actually produce tennis elbow, it is really important for you to know that if your technique is perfect, you can't have tennis elbow. You can be using the worst string in the world and still not have tennis elbow. So I recommend, of course, lower tension, softer string, but I also recommend to watch a lot of those technique videos that you can find at the summit, at the tennis summit with my friend here, and see the technique that you need to have to create better quality strokes and not get tennis elbow.
Thank you, Richard. Let's see. All right, Hikari, welcome. Former Futures player, that's awesome. Current tennis director and longtime user of Genesis and Signum Pro strings. Richard is amazing to work with, and I highly recommend many of the strings they produce. Hi, Richard. Awesome.
Hey, thank you so much, Hikari.
Yeah, thanks for the support there. Awesome. Let's see. Thomas, hybrid versus full bed? Question mark. Best tensions for poly in both.
Okay, again, I think we already spoke about it, about the hybrids, and as well of the tensions. Okay, now I think that probably this question got in before we spoke about it.
Yeah, it's
I
possible. Yeah.
I still there's one more thing that I forgot to say about the hybrids. We
Sure.
have players, we have many players that are using hybrids like this. They put 16 gauge in the mains and then 18 gauge in the crosses. Why would they do this? Because they get a better bite by having a thinner gauge in the crosses than in the mains. Okay, so that's another reason why using a hybrid is really good and effective. Not only for combining it with a softer string, but also with a thinner gauge. The thinner gauge, of course, is softer string, but it will still produce the same power that you want to produce in a string.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Richard. Keith, what's the best tension for poly and Kopali in terms of tension to help with arm pro? Yeah, so we kind of talked about just
Okay,
lowering it a
just
bit, right?
a little thing. Do not use
Yeah.
poly. There are many polys out there that are just polyester, okay? And polyester strings are really stiff on the arm and they do not produce power, control, and spin, okay? So for any player out there, forget about polyester. Polyester is not good anymore. Copolyester is actually so much better, so much better that is like playing with a wood racket compared to a modern racket, like that's the difference between using polyester and copolyester. And in this case, these are German made. In Genesis, we have strings made in 3 different factories, but trust me, we play test many different prototypes before even thinking of bringing one into the market. I want you to know we play test the other day a string that felt exactly like the Alu Power Rough. Amazing feeling, great in everything, but the durability was bad. I think the durability is bad in other string in the original as well. So we did not launch it to the market. It could feel great, but why would I bring a string that pops really fast? That's great for me if I'm making a good business out of that, but that's not great for the player. So I prefer the player to have more benefit than us as a company. Okay, so that's something just for you to know and for all the public to know as well.
Awesome. So I think this one we might have also talked about. Any research on how much more spin can be added by using textured or shaped square, triangle, hexagon? Was that the 10% that Tennis Warehouse said, or is that a different one?
The truth is that Tennis Warehouse is probably right for one reason. They have an amazing lab, which I don't know if it's secret or not, but I was amazed at seeing what they have. They have this room, which is amazing, which they actually play test the different attributes of strings, and that was amazing from my point of view, seeing that. So if they say that, I have to trust them 100%. I mean, whatever they say, they are right.
Gotcha. Perfect. Let's see. So we got some questions, some answers here. So what is Richard's website? Where can we buy his offered strings? And then Hikari mentioned it here, the Tennis Depot. So that is it. That is the site.
Exactly. TheTennisDepot.com. And
right.
I don't know if you want to tell them about the
yeah. Sure. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, everybody who upgrades to the All Access Pass, which is lifetime access to all 40 plus sessions of the summit for this year, plus the MP3 files and the transcripts and the implementation worksheet and everything, you will get a free set of Genesis or Signum Pro strings. So that is really awesome. And I really want to thank Richard and his team for that. It was super nice of you to do that. But essentially, after the summit, soon after it, we'll send you a link where you can go to answer a few questions. And then from there, Richard's team will send you a free set of strings. So you will get that if you upgrade to the all access pass. So definitely consider doing that because, like we've talked about, there's been so many great sessions where you can learn about the proper techniques and strategies and fitness routines, the mental game and equipment like today. And you'll get lifetime access to it. So you can go back to them whenever you want to. Instead of having to get through everything, this week. That's a lot tougher. So, yeah, I highly encourage you to do that. And then you'll be able to try out Genesis or Signum Pro strings if you haven't yet and discover the awesome quality of the string. So, yeah, just wanted to let you know about that.
Great. Thank you. At the same time, I wanted you to know our site, the Tennis Depot, it's not made to compete in any way with Tennis Express, Midwest Sports, Tennis Warehouse. I mean, actually, we want people to go to these sites to buy and purchase any string that they want. But the Tennis Depot, it's a site in which we try to help coaches, So coaches, college teams, if they want to have an account with us, we will set them all up with special pricing. So let's say for college pricing, we call it a sponsorship. As well, professional players, they can get a really great price in their strings, which is actually sometimes our cost, sometimes a little bit below our cost. But it is important for us to support as many professional players as possible, as many college teams as possible, and even stores, like stores can go to our site, create an account, we'll set them up with special pricing so they can purchase strings from us and have them at their stores. But at the same time, as I told you, it's not really important for me to be selling to the final client. I prefer them to go to Tennis Express, Midwest Sports, or Tennis Express, which are actually amazing places for you to go and purchase anything that you need from not only our brands, but everything that you need for playing tennis as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Richard. Let's see. What is the name of the most comfortable Kopali that Richard just mentioned?
Outbreak. Outbreak.
Okay.
That's the name. Let's see if you can see it here. That's
Yeah,
Outbreak.
we can see it very well.
In this case,
Outbreak.
this one is 18 gauge. This is really thin. This would be for that guy that he says he's 60. He does not pop much strings. This is super thin, so it will have amazing feeling. But we have it in 16 and 17 gauge as well. So it just depends on how much you pop strings, that gauge that I recommend you. But this is super comfortable. But if you as well want more power, Polaris is amazing for that, okay? Polaris will also have a great feeling, but with much better power.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Richard. And then Hikari says, find his contact and reach out to him directly. He's super helpful and can sometimes throw in some extra samples. There you go. Yeah, that is true. Richard is super helpful. I can attest to that. Let's see. Gordon Tanner. Hello, Gordon. What do you think of biphase Technifiber? Have you tried that? Any thoughts on that string?
Yes, I think even Djokovic was using it for a while, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think he was using that one combined. I don't remember what was the copolyester that he was using, but I can tell you it's a really great string. Technifiber is great in producing microfilaments. Their copolyesters are really great as well. Actual Technifiber, they were purchasing, I think, from one of these factories in Germany some time ago, and eventually they created or they opened their own factory. The strings that you can get with them are exclusive of them. Probably they're making their formulas as well, but I don't know because that would be completely confidential. So there's no way for me to know that. But I can assure you that if you go to Stringpedia and then you see or you compare those strings with our strings, you will find that many of our strings are as good or similar in quality than the strings that these guys have.
Brilliant. Thank you. Gordon, oh yeah, so you did kind of answer that, I guess, about Gordon, you probably want to scroll back a bit for the talk about gut. So Gordon says I still use gut. Any thoughts on gut? But you
Yeah,
kind
the
of
God
suggest.
is amazing. We have hybrids of God in Genesis, and we have natural God in Signum Pro, which is really an amazing quality natural God. Natural God has the best feeling of all, you know. But
Yeah.
let me tell you, not natural God is not made for everyone. You know, if your tennis
Yeah.
stroke is not perfect, you can actually get tennis elbow with natural God. You know, like because it does vibrate and it vibrates in the zone of frequency that is not good for the arm. But if your stroke is perfect, you won't ever have a problem. I mean, Federer and Djokovic are using now natural God in, I think, in the mains, you know, to have the best
Mhm.
feeling possible. So just imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. Great point there, Richard. We have so Hikari, gut is awesome, but I break through a set within an hour and it's too costly for me to maintain. Yeah, definitely. I would, in a lot of cases, I would still pair it with a poly, not just for the added durability, but for the more balanced feel. And yeah, like Richard just mentioned, a lot of pros do that, and average people as well. Gordon, how loose does Manarino string his racket to? I heard it's about 24 pounds psi.
Oh,
It's really loose, isn't it?
I heard 30, but it could be 24. I don't know. Have you seen the talent that this guy has? I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
amazing.
really amazing. The truth is that I wanted to have them in our have him in our team with Signum Pro, but the truth is that it was far too expensive for us, you know. So the
Yeah.
truth is that we decided not to have him in our team. You know, he was interested in some point, but I mean, I love Manarino. I love his way of playing and the way he hits the ball and he moves the player in the court. It's amazing.
It's so amazing, like how short his backswing is and like the feel. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
completely
lefty
right.
as well. Yeah. So Gordon Hagekari. Gordon, I recommend X1 biphase tech fiber if you like gut. It's expensive but close to gut. It's good recommendation.
Now, I want you to know that when Micronite was play tested by Tennis Magazine in Germany, the two strings that got the best ratings, because X1 by Phase was in that, because they were playtesting micro filaments. So X1 by Phase was in that test. And the two that got the best ratings were Micronite from Signum Pro and the NXT from Wilson. So I strongly
Hmm.
recommend for anyone looking for a
Hmm.
microfilament to play test Micronite. I think Micronite is really amazing. And we have Explosion in Genesis, which I know the quality of Explosion because of how much people loves it. You know, I do not personally use microfilaments, but I see how good we sell that one. So I recommend Micronite and Explosion to everyone that is loving microfilaments.
Fantastic. Thank you there, Richard. Hi, Hikari, hey, Gordon. I don't know about Mandarino, but I know there were other players stringing around mid to high 30s. I currently use Yellow Jacket or Experience, the green one, at 48 pounds. Nice. Nice. That's good
Now,
to know.
let me tell you about Yellow Jacket now that Hikari is mentioning it.
Uh-huh.
Yellow Jacket was a really interesting experiment that we made with Tennis Warehouse. It was a Tennis Warehouse exclusive string, and it was amazing the way we developed it. You know, they were interested in having a Tennis Warehouse exclusive string, but they wanted to have the best quality in the world. You know, they said we won't
Mm.
make a Tennis Warehouse exclusive string unless we have the best tennis string in the world. So that was with my friend Granville Swope. He was working over there in the Tennis Warehouse in those days. So I called the owner of Signum Pro and I told him, hey, if you can make the best tennis string in the world, Tennis Warehouse would be considering becoming it a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. And he was like, are you kidding me? Did they say that? And I was like, yes. But actually, they said that if we would make the best tennis string in the world, they would consider it, you know? So my friend from Germany, Bernd Grutner, started working really hard to create the best tennis string ever, you know. And he sent me two prototypes. experience and the now called Yellow Jacket. We did not call it Yellow Jacket. It was Tennis Warehouse, the ones that called it Yellow Jacket, because they said it stunk really bad. It really hurt the opponent. So it was really interesting because he sent me the prototypes. Like he play tested prototypes for almost 6 months. So eventually he made it. He made the string. So he sent me these samples for both strings in yellow and in green. And I sent them to Tennis Warehouse, and I tell my friend, "Hey, here are the strings that we talked about, Tennis Warehouse exclusive." And my friend was like, "What are you talking about? You said that if I made the best tennis string in the world, you would consider it to have it as a Tennis Warehouse exclusive." And he was like, "Dude, I hate to disappoint you, dude, but I don't think you're able to create the best tennis string in the world." And we're like, "Well, I have the samples here. Play test them." So I sent the samples to him, and I went to Indian Wells to talk to him after that. And he said, "Dude, I have great news for you. All the team is excited about what this string is. They're loving it. So they got me in contact with Jonathan Wolf. He was the guy, the guru of tennis string over there in Tennis Warehouse. And he said, "You have to tell me, what is this? This is amazing. Everyone is loving it." And so I told him, that the plan for us to make it a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. And he said again, "Dude, I can't have a Tennis Warehouse exclusive. That's impossible. Well." And I told him, "Look, they said that if we made the best tennis string in the world, you would consider having it as a Tennis Warehouse exclusive." So he said, "Okay, send me 20 more samples. I'll have all our team play test the string, and I'll get back to you." 1 month after, they called me, "Hey, can you come to Tennis Warehouse in San Luis Obispo? We need to talk to you." Okay, so I went over there. I was there with all the team, and they all said, "Your string is amazing. We love it. We wanted to have it as a Tennis Warehouse exclusive." So we had it as a Tennis Warehouse exclusive for almost 2 years, but then we had some issues there, and my friend Granville Soap, who was in charge of all the products, stopped working there. So eventually we are being able to sell it as well in the Tennis Depot. But it's really amazing that they loved it. And then we sent it to the USRSA and to Tennis Industry Magazine, and they gave us the play test and the numbers, and they said that it was the most durable string they've ever tried, that was soft as well, and it would produce great results in power and spin and all that. So it's really amazing, because this one, they didn't want it to be a Tennis Warehouse exclusive because the price was higher. So they wanted a string that was in a lower price, but with that amazing quality. I mean, and we've sold hundreds of these reels and thousands of sets, within these 2-3 years since we launched it.
Brilliant, Richard. Great stuff. So yeah, excuse me, VCore 95, very good racket. Tom, what exact string did he just tell the story about with the Argentinian guy who popped up? So I think that was a while back.
Yes, that's a Hexa Infinite. My friend is Luciano Doria. I mean, you can find him. He was playing some challengers in Chile, I think, 2 weeks ago. And I think he's going to be here in Mexico for the futures. There are some futures in Cancun this next month. I'm going to be there as well, taking my son over there and playing some pre-qualis, just to feel the power of the professional players.
Love that. That's so cool. Let's see. We've got Gordon again. Hey, Hikari. Sir Farin, what can you recommend to juniors, boys, and girls when choosing a string in order to continue an injury-free development for juniors?
Yes, we've seen. I've heard that little kids should always use microfilament and synthetic guts. Okay, we created a string called True Grit. Now, the name True Grit is really nice because if you look it in a dictionary, it means indomitable spirit, perseverance, passion. I mean, everything that we care about, right? all the tennis players, we think this is really important, perseverance and indomitable spirit. So this string is made in Germany. It's an ultra soft string, 10-sided and twisted, and the feeling is really nice. And we've had these two kids from Japan, 6 and 7 years old, and since then, well, they have been playing already, I think, like for 3 years with this string. No injuries at all, and they are hitting the ball all day long. I mean, if you go to our Instagram, Tennis Genesis, you're going to see these two kids, making a lot of getting a lot of trophies. They are now in Mexico because they were in Japan. I mean, in the U.S. They came to the U.S. to play tournaments, and I mean, they're doing it really good. And we have many juniors now using softer strings that we carry, and we have not get one single complaint about having arm issues. Now, I made a post one day at Instagram about these kids, 7, 6 years old, using True Grit. And one coach said that I was the most stupid guy in the world, that wanted to hurt these kids, and that using copolyester was the worst thing in the world. He can be true, he can be right. Many copolyester strings out there can actually hurt the arms of these kids, but True Grit is ultra soft and it has proved not to hurt any kid. We have a lot of other kids using Outbreak as well, and I mean like 9, 10, 11-year-old kids, no injuries at all. Actually, super soft string for them. They're having great results with this string. So I don't think using copolyester for young kids is bad if they're using the right copolyester, okay? But this string, Megaforce, this is a great string for a professional player, great durability, great power, but I do not recommend it for a 7 or 8-year-old kid, because it's a tougher string, it's like a alu power, it is not a soft string for the arm, it's a great string. I'm not saying it's not a great string, but it's not a great string for a 8-year-old boy, right? Or a 12-year-old boy. So for a young kid, I always recommend a softer string. And the good thing is that we have softer strings that are really professional, like Matteo Berrettini's string is great in power. For any junior trying to look for the most power, this string will be amazing. You can see Matteo Berrettini right there, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Matteo Berrettini has been using it since he was a junior player, having great results as well. And you can see the amazing power that he has, right? In his serves and his forehand. I mean, he rips it off always, right? So if he's doing that with this string, and he has been doing it for such a long time, this is a great string for power and control.
Love it, Richard. So I'm gonna ask a question just for myself, and I know we've talked about this before, but let's say if you're somebody who uses one of the strings that is really been popularized and very popular, which is the what am I'm forgetting the name all of a sudden. The green string. What is it? From Hyper G, yeah, Hyper G. I can't believe. Sorry, it's been a long day of like streaming for like 3-4 hours. But
don't worry.
Hyper G, like, so for somebody who uses Hyper G, like 16 gauge, whatever. I mean, what from the Signum Pro line would you say maybe like 1 or 2 like strings that could be a replacement?
Of course, Yellow Jacket is going to be amazing. Yellow Jacket is an amazing string. And the durability is going to kill the other one that you said, okay? I mean, because he's not going to lose power. He's not going to lose feeling. Actually, he's going to have more feeling. But the durability, it's, I mean, like 4 or 5 times better than the other one, okay? With perfect tension stability. So, I mean, there's no need to look for other string in Signum Pro. I mean, we have another string. If it's for the color, this string will have better power and much better feeling as well. Now in Genesis, we have the Hexonic 2.0. Actually, the Hexonic is pretty similar already to the one that you said, But in the Hexonic 2.0, we also brought the green color for the people that is looking as well for the green color. Now, Hexonic 2.0, why I'm not talking about Hexonic 2.0 as much as I'm talking of Hexa Infinite? Well, Hexonic 2.0 is made in Asia, and the Hexa Infinite is made in Germany. The quality of Hexonic 2.0 is amazing in durability, and amazing is really unbelievable. It will last more than even Hexa Infinite, which is already amazing in durability. Hexonic 2.0 is a really special string because it's the first string in the market in the history of tennis strings, well, of modern tennis strings, okay? Because natural God is completely natural, right? That it's partly made of a natural material that is biodegradable, okay? So, but it still contains PET, but this is the first step for us to make a string that is fully ecological, okay? I mean, all the strings out there are not ecological, so we're trying to make a string that is more eco-friendly. And this was our first step, Hexonic 2.0. Now, in Hexonic 2.0, you have great power, great control, amazing durability, tension stability, but the stiffness level is higher than the Hexa Infinite, okay? For professional players, that's perfect, For players that are using the one that you're telling me, it's perfect because it's almost in the same stiffness level. But in durability, we are killing all the brands out there, like we are going way beyond with durability in these two new strings, Hexa Infinite and Hexonic 2.0. Now, I want you to know that if you go to Stringpedia as well, and then you start comparing strings, try to compare Hexonic power with almost any string that you like in the market, not microfilaments, okay? But I mean copolyester strings, compare it. This one got the best ratings ever for a copolyester strings. And I mean, we kill all the big brands out there with this string in terms of tension stability, control, power, resilience peak, stability of the string as well. I mean, elasticity, all the copolyester strings are usually not much elastic, so if you find a string in 50, it's okay, for a copolyester string. And I think this one got like 65, so it was way beyond almost all the other copolyester strings in the world. So I recommend it much because it is still durable, not as durable as the ones that I told you, but it's still a durable string. But it has a lot of great quality that will give you benefits in the tennis court and will make your strokes be better as well.
Fantastic. Excellent. Just wrote some notes there. Great. So we'll get back to some other questions. Let's see. Gordon, interesting. I'm old 65, but a bit traditional. So I love the soft strings and have all my rackets strung at 27 pounds for lots of spin and power. Spin and power. I'm playing on my grass and Astro courts now. That's awesome. Yeah. Gordon has some really nice courts.
I'm gonna be in a grass court tournament over there in California, close to Indian Wells.
Oh, nice.
I got invited to a tournament called Woody Tournament. I'm really excited because I was able to win this tournament last year. We played with wood rackets, and they have to be not the latest version of wood rackets, but the ones that were like really little in the size of where you hit the ball. So it's a really nice and interesting tournament. If any of our friends that are going to be there is watching us, I just want to say hello to them. Okay.
Awesome. Wow. That's super cool. I don't think I would do that well with that.
And you have to dress all white as well. You can't dress with colors. Yeah. So it's a pretty fantastic tournament.
Wow. Super cool. Super cool. Have fun with that one. Artie, great stuff. Very informative. Thanks. Enjoying and learning a lot. Great to hear that, Artie. Awesome. Gordon, hi, Surfing. If you like it, soft and touch. Biphase. Yeah, you mentioned that one, Gordon. Jason, when you say feel the ball better for certain strings, does it mean it vibrates more and could cause elbow discomfort?
No, exactly the opposite.
Mm.
Well, all the strings vibrate, okay? Now, it depends on the frequency, okay? Certain frequencies, because of all the discoveries that they've made, these factories, they have discovered that certain frequencies can create more discomfort in the arm or can create tennis elbow. So that's really important because certain rackets as well, they vibrate in the bad frequency for the player, right? So when we're talking about the feel, it means that the additive that they put in that specific string make the string vibrate in the right frequency for the player to feel better. Okay. Now we have to understand in this amazing world that almost everything that our senses can feel have a frequency. Okay. I mean, all the colors out there are in certain frequency. Okay. And all the vibrations of the sound have a different frequency. Okay. Now the same thing happens when you hit a tennis ball. The racket has a frequency of vibration, and the tennis string has a frequency of vibration, and even the tennis ball. There are certain tennis balls that feel so much better than others, and that's
Yeah.
really interesting because I was partnering with Robin Sutherland before COVID started, and we're partnering with him for us to bring his tennis brand balls to the U.S. And it was really interesting because they were using different materials for the tennis balls and natural felt in these tennis balls, and these tennis balls felt so much better than the regular tennis balls. So because they were made of natural felt, they felt better than the ones made with synthetic felt. Okay, and then the inside of the ball as well was made with better materials than the commercial tennis balls that are being sold out there. And the feeling was really, really impressive. So all these different things vibrate different, and those vibrations, if they're good for your arm, they feel really nice. So it does not mean that it does not vibrate. It means that the vibration goes to the specific area in which you feel it really nice. As well in sounds, there are sounds that are horrible, that's a vibration, and there are sounds that are music, right, that are really nice. So the music and the horrible sound are both vibrations. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what we mean when we say better feeling in a tennis string.
Got it. Brilliant stuff. So we'll take a couple more questions, then we want to do trivia. Actually, we've got a few questions for you, and Richard is kind enough as to give out some sets of strings. So really excited for that. So let's see. Jay, look, does a string saver extend the time you play with a string?
Well, I think these little things that Pete Sampras you put in his racket are not necessary anymore unless you're using 100% natural gut, because he was putting it because remember in the 90s where the players, after every point, they would go and put their rackets back into their right position. I grew doing that. After each point, if the point was long, all my strings would move, then I would have to be putting them back in their position. So these string savers were made specifically for that. But nowadays, with the newer strings, they are not needed, actually. They won't actually make your strings last longer, and actually you're going to lose a little feeling, because guess what? Those little things do vibrate as well, okay? And the material that they're made of are not the same material that the strings are made of. So I wouldn't recommend adding those ones to your racket. As well, I don't know, like if many of the people here are stringers, they've noticed that, before the grommets were breaking a lot, so you would be putting spaghetti in them, right? So first the
Yeah.
spaghetti was nylon spaghetti, and that spaghetti would generate more vibration to the racket. Okay, so that was really bad. And I think there was a site called Grand Slam Stringers, and these guys were really famous for being, really smart and really, studying how to make things better for stringers. So they were selling Teflon spaghetti, and that Teflon spaghetti would not vibrate, and that would be so much better. Okay. Now, one of the additives that the strings have nowadays is this Teflon. Okay, so because the Teflon is like the outer wrap of the strings, it makes the strings to go back to its normal position after you hit the ball. And that's really interesting because you don't need to be fighting with the strings to be in its normal position after each point you play, just because of that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Richard. Let's see what else. Tracy, so yes, if I started with the all access pass, can I still get the freebies, or is it only for those who upgrade during the summit? You will get it. Everyone who gets the all access pass will get the free set of strings, courtesy of Richard and his team. Appreciate that. So yeah, we're at an hour 45, Richard. So I really appreciate your time.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy, but when you love something, then it goes quickly. So let's go to the giveaway question. So let's do a few of those. So, and Richard, can you just remind us again what you're gonna give away?
Okay, we're gonna give 3 of our best copolyester strings. Okay, we're gonna give Hex Infinite. We're gonna give Black Magic or White Magic. They can decide. And in Hex Infinite, we have 4 different colors, 2 different gauges, so they can choose as well. The Black Magic or the White Magic in any of the gauges that we have. And we're going to give us 1 set of the Polaris String, and we also have it in 4 different gauges. So the good thing is that they can choose from the different gauges that we have and from the different colors that we have in the other strings as well.
That's awesome. And you're saying that each person, like each winner, gets 3? Those 3?
Exactly.
Hopefully,
hopefully we get 100 winners today, and they will be really happy with their sample sets.
Oh man, that's great. Well, I'm sorry. Just to clarify, we're doing just the first person who answers it correctly, or everyone?
No, let's say no.
Person,
well,
right?
what about right? No, not 1, because that would be
okay.
3 sets. Let's make it 10. Okay, 10. The first 10.
Oh, the first 10. For each question?
What do you think? No.
I mean, whatever. Oh, okay,
we give the 3 questions, okay? So the first 10 they answer the 3 questions, right? They get the sample. So is that okay for you?
Yeah, so 30. So the first 10 that answer the 3 questions. Okay, sure, that works. Yeah. Cool, guys. Thanks, Richard. So first question is, which country invented copolyester strings? So we'll wait for your answers, and then we will.
Let me go really fast here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Did you all Google this? Wow. Very nice. So we're going to get Richard to confirm this answer, even though you guys have probably confirmed via the internet. I think I see the right answer from a lot of you, though. Okay. I think I hear Richard coming back here.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. So, do you see the chat, Richard, or no?
No. Where should I look it for? Oh, chat. Okay, here. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay, but it says private chat comments, right?
Yeah, comments. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, yes, we have a lot of winners here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone nailed it. It's amazing. It's amazing how smart these guys are, because the truth is that the brand that made popular the copolyesters is made in Belgium, actually, But it was right. It was Germany, the place in which it was invested, the Kopali. Now, I wanted to know something that is really interesting. I don't like talking about other brands, but it was actually a guy called Horst Kirschbaum, the one that invented copolyester strings. And it is amazing because you would think, why isn't Federer and Djokovic, and I mean all the big ones, playing with those strings? It is really a matter of marketing, you know. Luxelon started copying this factory, and what they decided is to give away to all the good players that wanted to try or wanted to use Luxelon. They started giving the string to them, to everyone, you know. So well, nobody trusted copolyester strings. Nobody wanted to even use them, you know. And then this guy Guga Kurten, he used them, and he came out from nowhere and won Roland Garros. And after that, well, we know the story. Everyone is using now copolyester strings, right? So Luxelon, because they were giving string to everyone at no cost, as long as they wanted to use the strings, uh, became so famous, you know. And the other guy that said, "No, I won't give string free to anyone." I mean, they're not a bad company, you know. They're not that little company, but they're not what they should be, you know, because if they invented it, they should be huge. Now, I know that Mr. Kirschbaum died, and they only had a few formulas, you know, that were famous but not that famous, and it's difficult to find a really great string engineer, you know, that knows really good the chemical about tennis strings. So that's one of the reasons why they didn't become the biggest tennis string brand in the world. And it's interesting because Luxelon was purchased by Wilson, and then Wilson was purchased by a Chinese company. You know, so it's interesting that Wilson is now completely owned by a Chinese company. You know, and I think this company that owns them was the one that was producing all the all the materials for them. So it's a really interesting story, but I won't speak much more about these brands. But I want you to know that still Germany is producing and is working all the time to create better quality materials for tennis strings nowadays.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So and one thing, Richard, as far as these winners, like, should they email you or do you want them to email me?
Well, you decide, my friend. If you want them to email you, for me it's perfect. If you want them to email me, you know, I would just need in the email which strings they want. You know, because of the color and the thickness of the string, you know. So whatever you feel easier, my friend, I have no problem. But I don't know if that will take you too long a time, too many time for you. So you decide if you want them to email me directly.
Sure, yeah. So I think if it works for you, we'll have them email you directly. And then let me see, which do you want your which email do you want them to use? Like the iCloud one or?
Yeah, that is perfect. The Richard Signum at iCloud.com.
Okay, cool. So let me put that here, and then I'm going to read the winners in a second, and I'll make a little banner here for that. So okay, so the winners of this are going to be so we have 10, and first off, if you win like multiple ones, I think we're just going to give you like one, one prize of the three. Like we're
Yeah,
not going to
because
give you like
if not,
nine.
they're gonna be getting 9, right?
Yeah, I know some of these people, man. They're going to win them all with their good,
Yeah.
I mean, mind
No, I
skills
mean,
that they know.
I can't believe how many of these guys answered right. I mean, it's
I
amazing.
think, yeah, or maybe they all copied Bilal here. We'll see. No, but so I have what I have here is Bilal, Sissel, Jennifer Rowe, Jack Abu, Jason Bourne, Sir Farin, Christopher Polak, Tracy Kennedy, Hung Fan, and Mark Walter. So all of you
Exactly. Those are 10.
who won
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can email Richard Signum at iCloud.com. So good job. These are the peeps who won, and we'll get you the Hexa Infinite, the White or Black Magic, and the Polaris, and then you can pick color gauges, and you can go to Tennis Depot, the tennisdepot.com as well if you want to like check out like the options for that.
Yes. Hey, guess what? I just saw 3 questions. Can I answer them fast? Keith Adams is asking what compares to 4G in durability and tension retaining. Actually, almost all our strings have great durability and tension stability, but I don't think 4G is really durable. So I think if you're looking for durability, I mean, almost all the strings that I mentioned are going to find, you're going to find great durability in them. And we actually don't sell strings that have bad tension stability. Only, like synthetic guts and microfilaments, they have bad tension stability. And Outbreak could probably have less tension stability than others, but almost all the others that we have great tension stability. Now, here's a Polish stringers, be an ambassador to test and bring some of the Signum Pro Genesis reels into my shop. Yes, Tracy Kennedy. I mean, if you can create an account at our site, thetennisdepot.com, and get in contact with me, I'll set you up with special pricing for your shop. And Mark Walter is asking Yellow Jacket versus Hexonic 2.0 versus Hex Infinite. I strongly recommend you to try them so you can have your own point of view about what do you think about those 3, okay? Because, I mean, I can give you my point of view, but I think it's really important that everyone can actually try them and have their own point of view.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you, Richard. So let's go to the second question, and we still want people to answer. Okay, sorry, we're making up the rules here, but Richard. So let's say we asked the second question: should we filter out the 10, any of them who have already won, and then take the 10 extra, or do we take the 10 and then just take the ones that didn't win the first time?
Yeah, I would say take the 10 that didn't win the first time.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think that would be the perfect way.
Okay.
But I still like the idea of these guys answering. I love that.
Oh yeah, still answer. So yeah, still
Exactly.
answer. Yeah, of course. We still want you to answer. It's a good fun quiz. Participation is appreciated highly. So, second question is, what brand made the first what was it? Extruded string ever, you said?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Extruded. What does extruded mean? I don't even know what that means.
Well, extrusion is that you're putting a shape into the string. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say Alu Power Off, the extrusion that it has, it's like bites. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like bites.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So which brand made the first extruded string ever, as the first copolyester strings were all round? Oh, look at this. Tracy said, Maribon, you can select 11 from the first question. I can pass it on. I'll be buying some reels. There you go. Boom.
Wow, great, Tracy.
Nice.
I will still send you some samples, Tracy. Don't worry about that.
That's nice of her. Okay, guys and gals and everyone. Okay, interesting. And you're seeing this too now, Richard, right? You're seeing some answers.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, won't give it away yet. I see something good there. I'm going to start writing down names. Give it a few more minutes. And which strings are you playing with again, Richard, right now?
Oh, it's because I'm always play testing strings. So the truth is that I have my personal favorite, which is Experience. I love this string. The feeling is unbelievable. Great power, great spin. But the truth is that I use for like now that I'm going to Cancun, I'm going to be playing over there as much as possible. So I usually take the Hex Infinite because of the longer lasting. For me to be paying $15 per string job, it's not too much, but it is always, a problem to be waiting for your string and to your racket. You take the racket and you have to go and be asking if it's ready or not. And because those guys are stringing, I think they have women's tournaments and men's tournaments at the same time. They actually have 3 Signum Pro stringing machines, which are amazing. So
Nice.
that's why I take the Hexonic to the tournaments. But I love this one personally, the experience, because it's called experience because Bernd Grudner used all his experience for 25 years making strings to create this string. Now, I think we already have the 10 winners. Give me a second. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3,
not
4,
quite.
5, 6. Since I'm number 11, Richard Hartman is really happy because he was the number 11.
Who is it?
Richard Hartman was the number 11.
Okay.
So he didn't win the first time, but thanks to this, he's able to get it.
Okay. So I'll cross it off.
Okay, and I have some interesting information about these because I'm seeing the answers that people is putting here, which is really interesting. And I think their answers are interesting as well. There's a good reason to make a comment about those answers.
I think we should probably cut this off in like 30 seconds or 10 seconds or something.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Okay. Well, we'll do 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay. So this was, this was tough. We had quite a few different answers.
Exactly.
But
we have Luxilon, Gamma, and Signum Pro. Okay. Now let me tell you why it was Signum Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
Bernd Grudner, even before the Plasma Extreme, which actually was the first, really extruded string out there, before Alu Power Off, they made the Twister string. Okay, that was the first string in which he put sides and twisted it before any other brand in the world. Okay, of course, Gamma had the Gamma Rough, but that was, remember, yes, it was probably the first extruded string in nylon, but we were talking about copolyester strings, okay? So the first guy that thought that there could have a shape in the string and actually made the mold to make it, and actually twisted it, which is not only the mold to make a shape in it, but also the way to twist it. It was a really interesting experiment that Bernd Grudner made, first with the twister, and then he made the Plasma Extreme, which was the first hexagonal string. After this string came out, almost all the brands started making hexagonal strings, and then after that, with 4 sides and 3 sides and all that. But actually, it was Bernd Grudner the one that started it. I was amazed because I was using a round string before Plasma Extreme came out, and when it came out, I was amazed because I did see how my ball would fell in when I thought it was going out. I would hit a ball and I hit it out and boom, and then it got into the line and I was like, what's going on? So that's what I say, 5 to 10% of more spin does create a difference into having a ball inside the court and a ball outside the court.
Yeah, thanks for that. Great stuff there. So on my list of who has won is Mark Walter, who actually was the 10th in the previous question, so you already won, but good job. Dario B, who I think is a new winner. Born Jason, who I think already won. Jackabu had already won also. And then Azair is a new winner.
Great.
And Artie Shad is a new winner. So
perfect.
Good job.
Great.
Good job. So yeah, again, email, and I have the banner here. Please email.
Do you want to write my email here for them to write me as soon as they want
I put it in. Can you see the banner here? I put it up here now.
Sorry
I don't know
about that. Okay,
no,
perfect. Yes,
no worries.
I can see it now. Yes,
so perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So this
is because when I go to the chat, I lose this screen.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. I know it's difficult, especially broadcasting, but I've got like monitors and all this. So let's do the third question then, Richard. And I know, wow, 2 hours, amazing.
Well,
You broke the record, Richard. Good job. Yeah, it's the
thank you.
longest live stream in the history of Tennis Summit of 6 years. So
Wow,
good
that's
job.
amazing. I speak
Yeah.
too
So
much. I'm gonna be quiet from
no,
now
no,
on.
no, 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 no. It's all good. This is great. Thank you so much. Third question is, give us the name of two big name players that use or have used Signum Pro in their career. So I know some,
Perfect.
but Richard, you'll probably have to confirm.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah,
obviously waiting for some answers.
hopefully they know that the biggest one that we have, right? But an
Oh,
Argentinian guy. Yeah. No,
does that
we can't
count?
count the Argentinian guy.
Does that
No, because
count? I don't
no,
know.
we meant big name players, right? I
Hey,
mean, like let's
my
say
guess is the
top
Mexican guy
100.
and the American guy. That's my guess. No, I'm kidding.
Let's say top 50. I mean, top 60, top 70. You know,
Oh,
something like that.
you need two guesses, everybody. Like two big
Exactly.
name, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
two. Oh,
everyone
this
is
is
saying
tough.
Berrettini. I mean, I know everyone knew Berrettini, but that's why the question is two.
So far, 0 winners. Come on, guys.
And Marcello Surace from Italy, he's my distributor over there for Genesis. He says, "Hi,
Nice.
Richard, number one."
Nice. Nice shades. Also, I like your last name, Sir Ace. Ace.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, well, looks like no one's winning here. No, come on, guys and gals, keep trying. We'll give you some more time. Even though it's 2 hours, 5 minutes, we'll give you more time.
I mean, just imagine one of these guys beat Federer in. Well, let me just confirm this.
I think we got a winner now, huh? Did you see? Oh, go. Sorry.
No, not Minero.
Okay. What about the one above it? No. Oh no, that's not either. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think this guy beat Federer in. Hold on. I think in Wimbledon. One of the guys that used Signum Pro.
They're stumped.
They stopped, right?
They're stumped. Yeah, I think they're stumped.
I can't believe it.
Oh man. What should we do if no one gets it? Should we just make them have one player or what? I don't know. You gotta have two guesses, everybody. So Jennifer, add somebody. Ah, okay.
Look, this is the guy that beat Federer in Wimbledon, and you can see there the S sign in his racket.
That's a great photo because you still can't see him. What a photo. Smart.
No, Manarino, no. We wanted him to play with the Signum Pro, but we didn't sign with him. Well, but let me explain you why Manarino didn't play with Signum Pro. He wanted, well, we were already interested in him. So he said he would finish playing the season with the string that he used, and we would, but he would paint the strings with an S. And then, well, we said, no, that's impossible, because just imagine, you know, everyone saying he's playing with this other string, but he's painting with the S, and then we would have problems, you know, with many players. Okay, so as nobody is nailing it, so let's take the first ones. Let's say Berrettini, and then I'll let you know which other players have used the Signum Pro. This guy that beat Federer in Wimbledon, Stakowski, and Jensun Lu. That's a Chinese guy, probably best Chinese tennis player ever. Jusny used Signum Pro as well. And whom else? I had more names. Kukushkin nowadays, he's playing as well with Signum Pro. Whom else? I mean, I knew more names, but I just forgot it right now.
No worries. So
Okay,
you
so
want me to award the people who at least named one person who's basically Berrettini?
exactly, because somebody said Nadal and Murray and British, but I think those guys are not using Signum Pro. But you're right. If they were reusing Signum Pro, probably Nadal would have 25 Grand Slams instead of 21.
Yeah, Hurkacz didn't use it, right?
No.
Okay. He should, but okay. And you said Burditch didn't, right? No.
No, not Berdych either.
Okay, not Millman. Okay. All right, so let's see. I'm almost done with my list, I think. Richard Neal. Okay, I think I have them. So my list that I have here is going to be Azair, Hung Fan. I think Hung. Oh no, Hung won the first time. Jennifer, I think also won. Surferin has won. Sissel has won already. Jack has Jack won? Yeah, Jack has won as well. Carmen is a first-time winner. Nice. Okay,
Great.
good. Dario has won already. Richard. Wait, did we have Richard? Richard, I think, is a first-time winner. Nice job. And then I think Neil is a first-time winner. So good job. Yes, I think that's it then. Oh no, but we take actually people who haven't won yet after that, right?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, man, this is. So my last.
Marcello, my friend from Italy, he's
Jack.
saying that in 34 years stringing and being a coach, in his experience, I can say that at Genesis, there are the best tennis strings of the highest level. He says he puts ropes because the translator says ropes in Google. You know, when you translate it,
Oh
it's ropes
yeah.
instead of strings.
Yeah. I got you. Cool. So actually, since we take more people, Tipa has won, Mark has won, and Carmen. Yeah. So Neil, Tipa, Carmen as well, and Mark, and then Keith. So yeah, so you all those people who I named, if you just email Richard at richardsignum@icloud.com. So email him. If I've named you, you win. So good job. So Richard, I know we've gone 2 hours and 10 minutes. I'm gonna have lunch right after this, but
Perfect.
just in closing, first off, if you do get the All Access Pass, you will get a free set of Signum Pro or Genesis string, and we'll send you a link for that. So I definitely highly encourage you to get the All Access Pass because, you'll get lifetime access to this, which has so much information. But imagine just this, but not just this, but 40 plus other lessons on technique, strategy, fitness, mental game. So it's really a great, fantastic value along with, the transcripts, audio files, the Q&A and all that stuff. It's all fantastic. The worksheet as well. So any final thoughts, Richard, as far as strings, and then also let people know again where you want them to go to check out all your stuff.
Exactly. Well, if you want to put it there, it's thetennisdepot.com. And it is important for us to let you know that I know that many companies, of course, in the world, not only about tennis, are just interested in, growing and expanding and making a lot of money for them. If we are not such a big company, but for us, the passion for tennis is the most important thing. So I want you to know that I completely warranty the satisfaction in all the strings that we sell because we know the quality of strings that we're selling. We work really hard creating the best materials and the best strings, and we're always creating, developing new strings and working hard just to make this tennis world better for everyone, So I understand that many other brands have much more money than us, but I am sure they are not, developing new quality strings for everyone and for all the players to feel better in the tennis court and achieve better goals. But we are because we really care about this. I have a son who's 17. He's playing tennis. He's coming with me to play the futures over there in Cancun, and he works hard, and I produce the strings not only for him, and for him not to have any issue with your arms, but as well for him to produce better results in the tennis court. So I do this for him, but I do this as well for all the tennis players that want to play better and that want to achieve better results in the tennis court. Okay, so always remember that not all the companies are human companies, but many of the customers that we have can actually tell you that every time they call me, I answer to them like if like a really close friend of mine, and I always take care of everyone like like if they were my brothers, because if they're into the tennis world, they're really great friends of mine. That's my point of view. So always, I'm always here for you. Always welcome any question, every doubt, and I can always help you getting a better quality string for yourself. So thanks so much as well for being here, and for taking the time to listen to me, and all the explanations that we gave.
Yeah, pleasure. Of course. Thank you to everybody. And J-Look says it's been a great presentation. Please have him back in the future. Excellent. Of course. Richard, thank you both for an education on strings. Sissel, thank you. Great session. Nice emoji as well. So yes, everyone, thank you for this, for listening and watching this epic session of, over 2 hours on how to choose the best strings for your game. And I really appreciate your time and Richard's time as well, and the cool prizes that he's given away. So again, email him at this email address that we have, Richard Signum at iCloud.com. And we'll see you next time. We actually have a live workout session tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So hopefully I'll be able to survive that. We'll see. But yes, thank you, everybody. And also check out the All Access Pass if you're interested in getting lifetime access to this session and all the others. And we'll see you again, hopefully soon. So thanks, everybody. And thanks, Richard.
Perfect. Thank you so much and have a great day.
You too.